No? Did you see that? She said short and long. Okay, shall we? Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Moavad, na'im shimchem velo yushbat, shevunechu beyom Shabbat.
Lo nikra le'im bat, ve'im tzorchem kemo vavad, na'im shimchem velo yushbat, shevunechu beyom Shabbat. Lo nikra Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Mevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Mevorach. Lo nikra le'venim bat, ve'im tzorchem kemo vavad, na'im shimchem velo yushbat, shevunechu beyom Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's so good to see everybody. So nice to see the windows emerging in Zoom and to see your faces. It's nice to know that we have many friends joining us in Facebook and in YouTube, and that we are coming together to celebrate Shabbat, a very special Shabbat. Shabbat with a name, Shabbat Shirah. Shabbat in which we read from the Torah the song of the sea, and so it is called the Shabbat of singing, of the song. Understanding that in our tradition, singing is a key to our souls, and maybe for all humans. Sometimes we are so busy trying to say, trying to articulate. And when we break in song, there's a possibility for a different kind of expression. There's a possibility to bring our souls with a different kind of articulation. So in this Shabbat, in the Shabbat of the song, in this Shabbat of the soul, we invite you to sing with us, as we do every Shabbat. We encourage you to pay special attention and to particularly focus on the singing experience. We'll start our Shabbat by lighting Shabbat candles on page 120. So if you have Shabbat candles there, wherever you are, we invite you to prepare your Shabbat candles. And if you don't, here we are going to light Shabbat candles together. And we pray, we hope that the light of the candles that we light here at TBT will make it all the way to the sanctuaries that you are building from where you are connecting with us.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. We'll now turn our Siddurim to page 130 as we welcome Shabbat with joy. Lechu neranena la'Adonai.
Lechu neranena la'Adonai nariya letzur isheno nekadma ana betoda izmirot nariya lo nekadma fanav betoda bizmirot nariya lo Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom, yeshuato, sabru v'koyim, kevodo, bechol ha'amim.
השמיים תגל הארץ, ירם הים ומלואו, אז ירננו כל עצי יער לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ. אדוני מלך תגל הארץ, ישמחו אם רבים, אור זרו על הצדיק, ולשרי לב שמחה. A light is shown to the righteous, the light that emerges from engaging in righteousness, from making the choice to live a life of awareness. A today in which we seek to do better than yesterday, and we try to build for a tomorrow that is even better. A day in which we try to be aware of the niflaot, of the wonders that we have in our lives. As we enter this Shabbat, we try to acknowledge the things that we should not carry with us. Shabbat is about somehow adjusting our attention, recognizing what are the things that we need to leave behind and what are the things that we need to engage on. I invite you to take each melody, each psalm, each poem as an entrance way to transform this night of Friday in an Erev Shabbat, in a sacred moment. We're on page 134 for Samru L'Adonai.
Samru L'Adonai Bechinor
הארץ ישפוט ובצדק לעמים ומישרים. עילם ימול לו בבל ויושבך עמך וכף אף יחד הרים ירננו, אף יחד הרים ירננו. Page 136. מזמור לדוד, Psalm 29. לדוד, אהב לאדוני בני אלים.
מזמור לדוד, אהב לאדוני כבוד עוז. מזמור לדוד, אהב לאדוני בני אלים. מזמור לדוד, אהב לאדוני כבוד עוז. אהב לאדוני כבוד עוז. אהב לאדוני כבוד שמו. אהב לאדוני כבוד עוז. אהב לאדוני כבוד שמו.
את עמו בשלום, אדוני יוס, למו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. איי, 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 למו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום, אדוני יוס, למו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. An interesting thing about the tradition of singing in our people is that, for example, the melody that we just sang for Psalm 29, which is itself a song that would be sung in the great temple by the Levites. That melody, actually, the melody that we sang, comes from Israel, from a Yemenite song, and a Yemenite singer that actually composed this melody to sing words from the Song of Songs, from Shir HaShirim. And as we sing, we connect our souls and our beings with so many places, with so many things. Singing is timeless. And so are the words of this poem, Lechadodi, that were written in the 16th century in Tzfat, in Israel, by Jews that were asking to have a more committed spiritual experience. And the melody that we will sing for Lechadodi is actually a Western European melody from a group of Hasidim called Hasidut Modich. And as we travel around the Jewish world, we try to connect with the recons, with the inner chambers of our souls. We're on page 138.
Shabbat nekabla Lechadodi Likrat kala Shabbat nekabla Shamor וזכור בדיבורך השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך ניכר לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה לא תבושי ולא תקהלמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי בך יחסו עניי עמי ונמדה הרלתי לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה בואי ושלום בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה צוחם עונה עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה לכבודי לקראת כלה ושבת נקבלה Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We have welcomed Shabbat. And I would like to invite you to take a moment to acknowledge each other's presence. If you are connecting with us through Zoom, we invite you to wave to each other and say good Shabbos. You can send private messages and say good Shabbos to each other. And we welcome, we acknowledge Andrew and Gabi. And Gabriel, and Viviana, and Zachary that are here. We'll say Shabbat Shalom to all of you and to those connecting with us in Zoom and in YouTube. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. We dedicate to Shabbat one more song. Mismor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. We're on page 140.
בבוקר חסדך אוי להגיד בבוקר חסדך באמונתך בלילות באמונתך בלילות טוב להודות לאדוני.
Page 144, חצי קדיש.
ויתקדש שמי רבה בעמדי ברח ירותם ימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב שמירה במברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה
Open our Sidurim to page 146 for Barhu. Barhu et Adonai המבורך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מרהיב ערבים בחוכמה פותח שערים. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time, and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in the heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and light, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzebaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, creator of a wonderful world.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
And as we think of this wonderful world filled with love, we try to take a moment to think about what makes this world wonderful to you. We think of the people, the landscapes, the memories, the places that fill our universe with light, that make our world wonderful. I invite you to let that beauty, to let that wonder surround you as we surround ourselves in the morning with a talit. And as we let that light surround ourselves, become aware of our breathing. Breathe in and out. Try to slow down. But try to take in the light and the wonders and the love that we sometimes neglect to recognize. And as they come in, we try to acknowledge the things that should be out, that we need to let them go. We breathe in and bring the love and the wonder. As we exhale, we clean, we let go of the things that we don't want to carry into this evening, Friday, into this Erev Shabbat. As we say, dear God, beloved God, Creator of wonders, please never remove your love from us. Please never take away from us the ability to recognize wonders and love in our personal world. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo, Israel. Blessed are you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. And once again, I invite you to take a deep breath. Become one. We're on page 152 for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. We continue on page 154 with the chanting of Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha v'techa uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן.
אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן. אמת באמונה כל סוד בקיים עלינו, כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו. זולתו אנחנו ישראל עמו. When your children witness your presence, they praise your name in gratitude and they accepted your sovereignty. Moshe, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices with joy. Who is like you, O God, mi hamocha, Ba'elim Adonai. We are on page 158.
Come אוסף אלה, אוי נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה. Don't you
sing this word, this song of freedom. It's all I ever had. Redemption song.
מלכותך, אהובנך, בוקעי הים, לפני משה ומרים, אוי סלי, ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Don't you want to sing
The song of freedom. It's all I ever had. Redemption song. Redemption song.
ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל, blessed are you Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. And from this place of redemption, from this place in which we ask to find freedom, we acknowledge the centrality of Shalom, of finding internal peace. We're on page 160. My life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for my people to say that we don't want to fight no more.
There'll be no more war, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Ashkivenu Adonai,
Eloheinu leshalom, ve'avidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Ashkivenu Adonai,
Eloheinu leshalom, ve'avidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ותגננו בעצה טובה מלפניך. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, ואתה והגולה. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, ועמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, ועמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו, על כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Blessed are you Adonai, Garden of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over the city of Shalom, Yerushalayim.
Amen.
Take a moment to acknowledge Shabbat. We say, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת we recognize that being mindful of Shabbat has given us focus among generations in a world, in a life in which sometimes we tend to lose direction. Shabbat reminds us of what's important in our world. And as we turn our Sidurim to page 164 for Tfilat Amidah, we are reminded of Shabbat. We are reminded that this is a great opportunity to think about what's important to us, what's central in our lives. As we turn to Jerusalem, we put our eyes in the direction of the center of Jewish life, as we, at the same time, trying to find our internal center. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Continue in silence. תגיבו לעולם אדוני. יהיו לרצון עם רייפי בהגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני, צורי וגואלי. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. The one who makes peace in the high heaven, make peace for all of us. And let us say
Amen.
We'll now turn our theory into page 371. As we pray for those that are in need of healing, we pray for those dealing with illness in their bodies. We pray for those dealing with illness in their souls. We pray for those dealing with addictions. And if you have a name that you'd like to share in this Erev Shabbat, we invite you to share those names, those people you're thinking of, to put them in the comment section on Zoom, of course, in YouTube and Facebook. We recognize the importance of articulating the names of those that we are praying for, of bringing them into this space, of thinking of them and sending them our loving energy. We're on page 371, Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Li'imotenu. May the source with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us sing Amen.
wish to all of them, to all of you, to all of us, רפואה שלמה, והחלמה מהירה, a complete and a full and a speedy recovery. And let us say,
Amen.
good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Let's make sure that you can hear me well. At the beginning of the service, I couldn't hear myself. So, can you hear me now? So I work a bit harder, and now I feel like no voice anymore. But you say you can, so I trust you. I trust your judgment. So there is this story about the the squad of ducks that are asked by their general to stand in a row and to number themselves. So the first duck says quack, the second duck says quack, the third one says quack, the fourth quack, and the fifth says quack, quack. All of a sudden there's a silence. And so the general shoots him. All the ducks are in shock. Why did you do that? They ask. And the general says, he had too much information. Now, sometimes it looks or it feels like knowledge or knowing too much about something can be harmful. Indeed, it was for the duck. But jokes aside, awareness and knowledge sometimes complicate things. This came to my mind this week when thinking about this Dvar Torah. It's Martin Luther King weekend. Also, on Sunday, in the Jewish calendar, we will acknowledge Tu B'Shvat, the new year of the trees. And this Shabbat, we read Parashat Bashalach. Now, put aside all the important concepts and topics that emerge in this parsha, such as the manna and our arch enemy, Amalek. This Shabbat, we read the Song of the Sea. And so, on top of everything, is a special Shabbat called Shabbat Shirah. So, being aware doesn't necessarily simplify things. Sometimes it makes them more challenging. This week, one of the members of my family was a bit sick. Spoiler alert, by now we know that it wasn't COVID. Now, defining if it was COVID or not was quite fundamental for us in terms of knowing how we were going to organize our week and weekend. Was I going to be able to be here for Shabbat? Was I going to be able to accompany our bar mitzvah tomorrow morning? So we tested and tested again and again and again. And at some point, it crossed my mind that not knowing if I was exposed to COVID would have been easier. while of course this wasn't an option for us, I was able to relate to what we all have been hearing in the news. Many people who might have been exposed to COVID don't want to test because of knowing that they are positive would imply if you have tested positive and you are asymptomatic, ignoring the fact that you have tested positive would pose a moral dilemma for many. Now, you can say, if you don't know, as no knowledge, no dilemma. It doesn't make it morally right, but obliviousness is sometimes convenient. Very timely and symbolically, the Red Sea is often thought of as a test, a trial, not a COVID test, but a trial of faith, or in other words, of stepping forward and embracing uncertainty for the sake of a possible good. As the Midrash recalls, it took them to get wet in order for the sea to split. It took for them to enter the waters, to get wet in order for the sea to split. It didn't happen before. However, we know that many tended to prefer, as the famous saying coins, and my mom used to say this all the time, a known devil over an unknown angel. We sometimes prefer a known devil over the unknown angel. Now, this struggle is so deep that it became a crucial part of our liturgy. For many congregations, the Song of the Sea is an integral part of the Psuke, the Simbra, the songs of praise. But even more than that, in the structure of the reading of the Shema that we do twice a day, the blessing for redemption, known also as Micha Mocha, evokes the Song of the Sea. Now, if we try to organize this in the structure of prayer, the path, the road to redemption, to Micha Mocha, starts with the Shema, or in other words, with deep listening, which by definition is an act of defiance to the convenience of obliviousness. We ask to Shema, we ask to listen, because we want to acknowledge that very often we don't want to. We don't want to listen. We recognize that unwillingness to listen itself as a recurrent obstacle in our lives. Another Midrash tells that the Red Sea is itself, try to imagine this for a moment, that the Red Sea is itself the foothills of Mount Sinai, which is like saying that the revelation, which is the ultimate form of redemption, the revelation at Sinai, started by our willingness to step forward and get wet. While obliviousness might be liberating, redemption is an outcome of the practice of deep listening and of stepping forward recognizing and embracing the challenges of uncertainty. The idea of the Shema, listen, is not because we are listening, seeking for an answer. It is rather the attempt to create an inquisitive state of mind. It is about observing and asking questions. And if it sounds familiar, it is because that's exactly what we do with the 4 questions in Passover. In the celebration of freedom, of redemption, of liberty, we ask questions. Now, the practice of listening, observing, and asking questions is the foundation of our religious life. It's the main tool we have in order to overcome challenges and grow, and in order to not to be imprisoned by our own flaws. The Shema is so central to our religious life because it is the state of mind that sets the path to break free. First the Shema, and then the blessing for redemption, in that order. We work on being listeners because our freedom and growth are not about running away, but about commitment and responsibility. We want to listen because we choose awareness over ignorance. The story of being humans starts with the tree of knowledge. Starts with becoming aware. Apropos trees to Shabbat. Here you have it. The tree of knowledge starts with that awareness, with that choice. We want awareness because our world is in the midst of a pandemic that has showcased at the cost of human lives the horrendous gap between economies and possibilities and accessibility that different countries have. We want awareness because this pandemic, in the context of Martin Luther King Day and weekend, has exposed the inequities in our society here in the United States and the desperate need for rectification. We seek awareness because we acknowledge that only by breaking the cage of convenient and harmful obliviousness, we are able to create the path that connects our own souls to our life experiences and that connects us to each other and so to new horizons and to the vision of a better world. So may this Shabbat Shirah, help us open our eyes and open our hearts and become seekers of awareness, seekers of knowledge. And may this Shabbat and this Torah portion help us fight our preference to embrace a non-evil and the choice of ignorance and obliviousness over the choice for knowledge and commitment. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue our service on page 588. והשבותה אל לבביך. והשבותה
והשבותה
אל לבביך,
אל לבביך,
כי אדוני
כי אדוני
הוא האלוהים,
הוא האלוהים,
והשבות
והשבות
אל לבביך,
אל לבביך,
כי אדוני
כי אדוני
הוא האלוהים,
הוא האלוהים, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We now take a moment for Kaddish, Avelim, Mourners Kaddish. We acknowledge those that are mourners in our community. We invite you to acknowledge the cycle of the first 7 days of mourning, Shiva, the first 30 days of mourning, Shloshim, the first year of mourning. And so, if you have a yortzeit this week, the anniversary of someone's passing by this time of the year in years past, we invite you to share the names of those that you are remembering in the comment section on Facebook and YouTube, and of course here in Zoom.
It is the yahrzeit of my papa, Max Gottheiner.
Today also my mother's yortzeit, Batia Bat Sarah. We're on page 598 for Kaddish Avelim. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותה, וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר, ויתרומם, ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, ושבחתה ונחמתה, למירם בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. May the memories of our dear ones be always a blessing. יהא זכרם ברוך. Would like to invite Jeff Oslick, that is connecting with us in Zoom, to lead us in Kiddush. Jeff, are you there? It looks like you are there.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Do you have a cup of wine, Jeff?
I do.
That makes it for Kiddush. So you can find Kiddush on page 122. Tell me, are you going all the way through, or should I do the beginning?
All the way through.
All the way through. So if you have a cup of wine, as I am doing, you can take your cup of wine and join the Oslicks in the celebration of this Shabbat and the coming up to a Torah of Zachary Oslick tomorrow morning. What a joy, what a pride for the family and for our congregation that one of our children is becoming a bar mitzvah. We invite you to join the Oslicks tomorrow morning, of course, and now for Kiddush.
Vayir vayivoker yom hashishi vayechu hashamayim ba'aretz v'chol tzavam vayechol Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishpot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi v'yakadesh oto kivo shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim laso Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvot ha'avarat tzavanu, b'shabbat kadsho, b'ahavav ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maseh bereshit, kihu yom tefila l'mikroi kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'achata, yotanu kidasha, Nikanim Beshabbat Kadshecha B'Yahava U'Ratzon Kimchatanu Baruch atah Adonai B'Kadesh HaShabbat.
לחיים.
לחיים, לחיים. Say לחיים to everyone. So, why don't we sing as we start to conclude our service together? Why don't we sing a piece of the Song of the Sea?
בשמחת יה, ויהי לי לישועה. עוזי בשמחת יה, ויהי לי לישועה. עוזי בשמחת יה, ויהי Radya, ויהי לי לישועה. עושי בשמחתיה, ויהי לי לישועה.
As we conclude our service, we make sure that nobody leaves this space without a blessing. We acknowledge, we know that we are carriers of blessings. We have been carrying blessings from generation to generation and sharing them with our children, sharing them with those we love. And as Shabbat invites us to acknowledge the creation, we also acknowledge our creations. We acknowledge our children. We acknowledge the creations we are partnering. We acknowledge the loving relationships that we are creating. We tell to our children, to our loved ones, ישמכם אלוהים כפריים וכמנשה, ישמכם אלוהים כשרה רבקה רחל ולאה. May God inspire you to be like the fathers and the mothers of Israel. יברככם אדוני באיש מרחם. May God bless you and protect you. ישא אדוני פניו אליכם ויחונכם. May God's light be always within you. May you find God's presence and its light and its peace within you always. May you find awareness. May you be a seeker of awareness, a seeker of connection, a seeker of shalom. יישא אדוני פניו אליכם וישם לכם shalom. May you find God's blessing and God's presence and God's peace within you always. אדוני עוש לעמיו ייתן. אדוני יברך את עמיו בשלום. שבת שלום, שבת שלום מבורך everyone.
עושי בשמחתיה, ויהי לי לישועה. עושי בשמחתיה, ויהי לי
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.